Hi, my name is Chelsea Hill. I'm an orchestra teacher interested in enhancing my pedagogy through blended learning strategies. Students in their early 20s have already spent at least 10,000 hours playing video games in their lifetime. And this surprising fact has really motivated my research. Barnes et al. Studied this in 2007. What comes to mind when you see this image? Willful practice has fueled an entire generation of young experts who crave rich environments of urgent optimism and elements of surprise within a global landscape of relatedness. There are extensive cross-disciplinary supports for blended learning. The following curriculum proposal embraces new media literacies that will enhance standard-based learning among students in a secondary orchestra ensemble that meets every other day for 40 minutes. Over the last 2 years, every student in my class completed assignments using video recordings. Video assessments definitely drive performance skills and extend learning beyond the walls of the classroom, called loop interactions. Performance rehearsals often require a disproportionate ratio of teacher support to independent student learning. But the digital landscape is presenting wonderful opportunities for students to experience collaborative inquiry through online communities of practice. Stimulating new media literacies over the course of an entire school year will help spark innovative lesson designing and create a paradigm shift that I like to call Opus Z. In music, an opus is a way of categorizing a large quantity of compositions. This term really suits the vast array of educational technologies that are available today. The letter Z is generally used to categorize the net generation that was born in the early 90s. In the process to iterate the current curriculum, students will become the creators, while the teacher will exercise the role of facilitator. From 2012 through 2013, teachers' access to electronic tablets rose by 15%. The following questions were used to focus the research of this curriculum. Through a community of practice and content-specific discourse, new media literacies will emerge from the process of creating digital assignments. When learning is focused on authentic experiences, students are highly motivated to create in a self-directed environment. Einstein actually once said, "Creativity is intelligence having fun." We retain 75% of what we see and hear simultaneously. Here is an example of a listening map that I use to teach musical form. Pao Ta Yu et al. In 2010 studied digital concept mapping. Dual channel design in an elementary general music classroom cut down on instructional time significantly. Martin and Carr surveyed 701 teachers who used technology favorably. Broadly speaking, performance interactivity is about the abilities of the user to activate new modes of thinking to broaden their perspective, as said in Dixon 2007. Web 2.0 creates a network for connectivity where individuals are in a constant flow of iteration and innovation. Bloom's taxonomy is at the core of this spiral curriculum. Literacies are socially created constitutive elements of larger human practices, known as discourses, that humans construct in a myriad of purposes and values, as stated by Lankshire and Noble in 2011. Contemporary learning involves Green's dimensions for literacy. Literacy bits, as Galloway said in 2012, do not exist apart from the social practices in which they are embedded. Students must know and be able to dialogue through multimodality, as stated by Guy. Instructional materials and lesson strategies may include discussion threads in the Google Classroom that promote collaborative inquiry. Henry Jenkins inspires us with the ideas that participatory culture shifts the focus from one of individual expression to community involvement. Students will gain the ability to transform and change literacies as well as act with them. Critical literacies challenge the traditional deficit model of teaching by drawing upon the literacy resources that pupils have already developed for themselves in identity-rich domains outside of school, as stated in Galloway 2012. Students will use the blogosphere to reflect about their performance and use online applications to motivate practice. Green's cultural dimension for learning revolves around the creating process. Students will experience blended learning in order to submit formative video assessments. They will create digital program notes, reflect on their digital citizenship, and compose reflective essays to diagnose weaknesses and set goals after their concerts. Throughout the design process, I have asked myself how I can address the following question with my students. What does it mean to think like an artist across the digital landscape? Students will come to understand that literacies are not a single discourse. Instead, new media literacies help shape a new vision for critical literacy that is shaped by the TPAC model. The model of technological pedagogical content knowledge helps teachers connect content pedagogy and technology so that they may work with those elements to innovate teaching and learning. I will sequence the curriculum to scaffold instruction in ways that nurture students and develop higher order thinking by addressing Bloom's taxonomy. I developed SMART goals based on this contemporary model of Bloom's taxonomy of digital planning verbs. These goals are specific, measurable, authentic, realistic, and timely, therefore SMART. Through backwards design, learning outcomes, and develop core components and essential questions from the New York State Learning Standards for the Arts that were implemented in 2017. From September to November, students will discuss many elements of web etiquette. This diagram highlights the standards used and the essential questions covered throughout marking period 1. Instructional materials include an interactive textbook called Essential Elements for Strings that comes with a free online resource for assessment. Students will use a tuner and a metronome application and a formative assessment tool called Flickr cards. Here is an image of a video I made to flip a lesson and provide students with a self-paced lesson to sign into and submit their first assignment in Essential Elements Interactive. Flickr cards provide a fun bell ringer at the start of each class. Here is how Flickr cards work. The teacher presents a question or an image on the board through the Flickr application. The students, up to 63 in a group, will hold up a QR code unique to them, and the teacher will scan the room, and the application will then generate a visual feedback so that the teacher and the students can assess how the class did. From November to January, students will continue developing confidence with the applications that were introduced in marking period 1. This is an example of a summative assignment that is used to create an authentic project where the students make connections to their repertoire. Although they are written well, there are digital literacies that could greatly enhance this project. Non-linear modes of learning are growing in popularity. Instrumental music students can aggregate media tools to create digital program notes to share the background on the composer, piece, and performers with their audience through multimodal ensembles. From February through April, students will synthesize applications to collaborate more frequently using the applications presented previously. Here are the students' projects posted outside the classroom. This is the title slide from a student's digital program notes. And here's a photo from the spring orchestra concert where the digital program notes were presented to the audience. Authenticity is very important. Here's a screen capture of a very successful Google Classroom discussion thread. By assigning peer-to-peer responses as a graded activity, student responses are stronger inside the digital and live learning environment. It was great to see that there were over 50 responses in a class of only 23 students. Marking period 4 will focus on creativity and collaboration independently. The combination of apps used through the Google Classroom can greatly increase the frequency of feedback between everyone involved. Student-centered learning becomes tailored to meet the needs of each individual. The Google Classroom also inspires greater democracy in the classroom. Students become highly motivated to participate when they are afforded the opportunity to make informed decisions about what they are learning. In this activity, students listened and analyzed potential repertoire for next year, and then they voted on their most favorite piece. Later, they shared their reactions through a live discussion. Again, multimodal learning inspired stronger connections and communication in the live classroom. Here's an example of how rubric digital learning works. Students submit an assignment like the reflection essay that was assigned for the spring concert. The assignment then gets uploaded into a rubric where I use a digital rubric to grade their response, and then my feedback is typed to them, or I can send them audio feedback. During marking period 4, students are also encouraged to share and critique each other's work through the same process. Human interactions truly mediate discursive comprehension. Stimulating new media literacies in a secondary orchestra classroom will promote a community of practice where students build comprehension for their craft through social media and loop interactions. For today's youth, trust and community stem from a sociocultural perspective across the digital landscape. Through a process of interactivity and multimodal learning, the lines between artist, teacher, and learner dissolve. Thank you.